Hello, boys and girls. AEW Freak 1127 here. Um, it's no secret that I've struggled with depression if you followed my channel for any amount of time. And the treatment that I have had recently, by recently, I mean the past couple of months, has been very good. It's been the best. It has helped me immensely. Unfortunately, it's left me with a lot of feelings that I either have never felt before or I don't know what to do with, like loneliness. I used to never feel lonely when I was a kid. I used to make a point to be by myself as much as I possibly could, because I didn't like my family very much. They were very abusive. Um, and I couldn't always just pick up the phone and call somebody. Um, I had friends, but I had a father who didn't allow me to have friends over hardly ever, mostly because he drank a lot and maybe he was embarrassed and didn't want somebody to see him in that state. I don't know. But whatever the reason, whatever the case, I was happy to be alone. I was happy to kick a football around by myself. I was happy to ride my bicycle around the lawn and the driveway and pretend that I was in a race. It sounds so pathetic, but I used to pretend wrestle on the top of the roof of the house that we owned next door. It was a completely flat roof, so I'd go up there and I'd jump off. It wasn't very high, but I would jump off and I did a lot of stuff by myself. So, and now I don't know what the fuck to do with myself. I just don't. I don't. But I need to figure it out pretty quickly before I push away the one person who means anything to me. Because that's kind of where I am. Uh, Constantly wondering when they're going to be home. When are you going to be home? When is this going to end? When. Sometimes I feel like the only people I have to talk to are people that I indirectly talk to here. This little audience that I have that I've thankfully, even though it's really small, it's I'm amazed I got anybody back after quitting YouTube like twice and coming back. But these feelings are just so hard to deal with, man. I How do you go from just being fine, being on your lonesome for so long, and then just like that, you can't string 2 days together without wondering, asking yourself, asking, when is this gonna end? Like, I don't know. Loneliness was a concept that I only really read about or saw on TV or heard on the radio. And I'm so happy that I'm not depressed anymore, because when I was at the worst of my depression, I just wanted to die. The worst of my depression, I just wanted to just straight up fucking die. And now I feel like I can live instead of just exist, but it comes at a cost. It's come with the cost of trying to navigate feelings, not waking up bitter every day. What do you do with this happiness? What do you do with this gift that's been given to you? I shouldn't complain about it. I'm not complaining about it. I'm very happy for it, but God, I'm having the worst time of my life, man. My wife and I separated about 8 months ago, and it was something that we both really, really needed. Part of it was to sort through our respective issues, and I never thought it would go 8 months. I thought, whatever the reasoning, I never expected it. And my wife was the person who was my guide through this weird country. You know, she was the first and only person that I had for the longest time. But I was just too depressed to go out and make a real concerted effort to make friends, to get to know people, to get to know the culture. I I locked myself away for so fucking long. God, my voice sounds so annoying when I cry. I locked myself away for so long, for so many of the years that I've lived here. And then when I finally get to a point where I feel like I want to socialize and be more out there, we happen to move to a village where I can't relate to fucking anybody. I can't. I can't relate to a single one of these people, and they can't relate to me. And you know what? That's not their fault. I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm not saying any of this shit is anyone's fault but mine. Honestly, I'm not trying to put any blame. I am just stunned that the worst feelings of depression within about a week of starting the therapy that really helped me. The worst of my depression, the suicidal ideations, constantly being just this constant feeling of dissatisfaction with myself and with everything around me, that goes away, but the loneliness stays, and you can't make everybody understand that. You can't make everybody understand that, and that sucks because some people are still totally okay with being completely alone. And it gets really hairy and complicated when you're in a marriage where one person is suddenly not okay with being alone and the other person seemingly wants nothing but being alone, with the occasional, and it's like when she does come and visit, we have a really good time, and then she leaves, and that's what hits me the hardest, is when she comes here and she stays for a while, and we have a good time, we're not fighting, and then she leaves, and I don't know what to fucking do with myself. I'm in a really unique situation in that I'm an expat in a country. Well, that's not unique. But I'm an expat in a country who decided to move out to the sticks of this foreign country to make it even harder on myself to integrate within society. Because out here, Finnish isn't even the official language, it's Swedish. Like, so much is so different out here. So different from Helsinki, where I should have stayed, where I should be right now. Because being here just makes... being in this tiny, tiny village with nobody to relate to. I don't know how to handle it. I don't know how people handle loneliness because I've never had to reckon with it before. Maybe times when I was in a relationship and I felt really lonely because the relationship ended, but that was ephemeral. That lasted for like a week. You know, that kind of loneliness. This is like protracted emptiness. And the important parts have been filled in. Not wanting to die, check. Having more patience, being less irritable, check. Those three things were like the biggest things that I needed to work on. I I hear a lot that this is an age of loneliness that we live in right now, so I guess I'm probably preaching to a choir, and I'm not special in that regard. Um, but I need to figure this shit out, and I need to figure it out fast. I don't. I don't know how anybody else. I mean, I've talked to friends that I've made through YouTube and friends from back in the U.S., and I've explained this situation to them. No matter how much detail I give, the one thing that's consistent is that nobody could fathom living like this. Nobody that I talked to could fathom being this far away from civilization, alone, and for like a month, maybe I think a month of that time, I didn't even have a car. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but I didn't even have a car, and this is a place where you kind of need a car to get around. No, like everybody else seems to be able to understand, and maybe that's why I'm here blubbering in front of the camera on YouTube, because this was something that I did way back when I was in my mom's basement. When I felt bad, I would turn on my camera and talk about it, and I stopped doing that for a while because I tried convincing myself that I didn't need YouTube or any of this stuff, that I was turning over a completely new chapter in my life. But the truth is, I came here and I was dead wrong about my sadness being attributed to where I was. I knew I had struggled with depression before I moved here, but it worsened. And it worsened with the pandemic. And now it's better, and I'm so, so thankful for it. But I'm not exactly in a situation where I can just drive 15 or 20 minutes down the road and find a hobby, find 20 minutes down the road is another farm, and 20 more minutes down that same road is another farm, and 20 more minutes down that road, you're getting closer to civilization, but not quite. I don't know. I guess sometimes I truly feel like the audience that I was lucky enough to retain is like the only person that I have to talk to who has the best chance of understanding my particular situation. And because you can't talk to somebody who's a-okay being alone about matters of loneliness. You just can't. I That's something I have learned over this time, is that if you go to somebody who really values their alone time and you tell them how you feel, even if you are their husband, even if you can be their best friend, you can be their, who you can be whatever to this person, they just won't get it. They just will not get it. And maybe somebody out there will. Because as thankful as I am for getting my depression more or less, actually more than more or less, under control, just plain under control, as thankful as I am, I still can't help but lament where I am right now. And every single day, my thoughts turn to, what do I have to do to get out of this? What do I have to do to get out of this? So I try to find a job. No one wants to hire an expat out here because English is the third language for the first point. And for the second point, jobs are just few and far between. I could collect Social Security, but bureaucracy, red tape. I could move back to Helsinki. That's what I want to do. I'm come hell or high water, this house is getting sold in the next year. And but that, who knows how long that'll take. I don't know. I uh I think 15 minutes of blubbering is quite enough.